It's all happening in Austria ahead of this weekend's Grand Prix. Ferrari will have their new power unit approved in the back of the SF26 this weekend.
Ferrari's long-awaited engine upgrade has finally been approved for the Austrian Grand Prix, and this could be the moment that changes the entire championship battle. After months of struggling with straight-line speed, Ferrari is bringing a brand new power unit package designed to unlock the true potential of the SF26. And if you're Mercedes, this is a serious warning sign. The Italian team already has one of the strongest chassis on the grid, with Lewis Hamilton proving in Barcelona that Ferrari can fight at the very front. Now, with extra power finally arriving, the biggest weakness of the car could be about to disappear. Austria is the perfect track to test this upgrade, and if the numbers from Ferrari are real, Lewis Hamilton could be the favourite for victory this weekend. A win in Austria would not only close the championship gap, it would send a clear message to Mercedes and the rest of the grid: Ferrari is coming. Could this be the race where Hamilton delivers another statement victory in red? The stage is set. Austria may be where Ferrari's title charge truly begins. Let's start with the circuit, because Austria isn't just any race weekend. The Red Bull Ring sits high in the Styrian Mountains at around 700 meters above sea level, where thinner air punishes cooling and rewards engine efficiency. The lap takes barely over a minute to complete, one of the shortest on the entire calendar. Packed into that tiny lap are 3 long straights and a string of heavy braking zones. The share of the lap spent at full throttle is among the highest of the season. On a track this short and this power-hungry, the stopwatch finds the truth in about 60 seconds. There is nowhere to hide. If your engine is down on power, Austria tells you immediately. And if your engine just got stronger, Austria tells you that too. This is exactly why Ferrari chose this weekend to bring their upgrade. They didn't pick it randomly. They picked it because this is the one track that gives you the clearest, fastest, most honest answer. So what is Ferrari actually bringing to Austria? Because the details matter more than the headline. The centerpiece is a new version of the engine, the third iteration of the 067 6-power unit arriving under the ADU rule. That stands for Additional Development Opportunities, a provision written into the 2026 regulations specifically to help engine manufacturers who fell behind at the start of the season catch up. Ferrari is one of those manufacturers, and Austria is where they cash the first payment. The engineering at the heart of this upgrade is genuinely clever. Ferrari's engine is built around a steel alloy cylinder head instead of the aluminium most engines use. Steel can handle far higher temperatures before it fails. That might sound like a small material choice, but it isn't. That extra tolerance allows Ferrari to run hotter, more aggressive combustion without the engine tearing itself apart. From Austria onwards, the intake air temperature feeding into the intercooler climbs from over 100 degrees to over 115. Hotter, more complete, cleaner, burning more energy pulled from every single drop of fuel. In a formula where you only get 70 kilograms of fuel for an entire race, squeezing more from every drop isn't a small gain. It is the entire game. And the upgrade doesn't stop at the engine itself. Ferrari is also introducing a brand new shell fuel, developed specifically for this new engine design. The fuel and the engine were built as a pair. You cannot fully unlock one without the other. Together, they are designed to claw back the straight line gap that has been holding the whole car back all season. Now, before Barcelona, this upgrade was still pending FIA approval. Red Bull had formally contested the governing body's ADU assessment, arguing that the methodology used to determine which manufacturers qualified for upgrades needed to be reviewed. It was a move many in the paddock saw as a deliberate attempt to delay Ferrari and Mercedes from bringing their new power units. But here is the outcome. Ferrari's upgrade has been approved. The FIA confirmed they are reviewing their work at Red Bull's request, but made clear that Ferrari's qualification for the ADU is not in doubt. The green light has been given. The new engine will be in the back of the SF26 this weekend. And the reaction from Ferrari's rivals tells you everything. Lando Norris, the reigning world champion, the man currently leading the championship, did not give the polite, careful answer drivers usually give when asked about a rival's upgrade. He said the quiet part out loud. His words: "We're lucky that Ferrari doesn't have a better engine at the minute. If they had a better engine, they're dominating. They're the class of the field in terms of cornering. If they make improvements on the engine side, they'll embarrass everyone." Read that again. The world champion just called Ferrari the best chassis on the grid and said the only thing holding them back is one single part. Fix the engine, he's saying, and they don't just compete, they embarrass the field. To understand why this moment matters so much, you need to look at what just happened in Barcelona. Lewis Hamilton put that Ferrari just 0.06 of a second off pole position in a car that by every measurement is down on power compared to the Mercedes and Red Bull engines around it. He made up that deficit in the corners. The SF26 was kinder on its tyres than anything else in the field across a long, punishing Spanish afternoon. Then he won the race. He executed a 3-stop strategy with a well-timed virtual safety car to perfection, controlled the closing laps, and took the checkered flag. His first victory in Ferrari red. The 106th of his career, ending a winless streak that stretched back 686 days, a streak that many people had quietly decided was never going to end. That win moved the championship picture. Before Barcelona, the gap felt settled. After it, Hamilton sits 41 points behind the leader Kimi Antonelli of Mercedes, and for the first time all season, the chase looks genuinely real. But here's the other half of the story. Mercedes has a problem. Twice this season, a Mercedes has shut down while running near the front. George Russell retired from the lead in Canada. Antonelli himself retired from second place in Barcelona, with 3 laps remaining, losing a near-certain podium and a fistful of points. The team's own engineers have traced both failures to the same area, the battery. By one estimate, those 2 retirements alone cost Mercedes around 43 points, roughly the exact size of their entire championship lead. The gap at the top is real on paper, but in a way it is borrowed, and that is the situation Ferrari's upgrade lands into. Here is the key thing to understand. Austria is not Ferrari's big swing. This is Ferrari's opening jab. The ADU framework gives Ferrari 2 upgrade opportunities this season. The first arrives in Austria. The second, expected around the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort or Ferrari's home race at Monza, is reported to be built around a bigger turbocharger. That later upgrade is the one Ferrari believes can bring them real power parity with Mercedes, closing the engine gap fully rather than just narrowing it. Think about what that means. If the opening jab already lands at a track as demanding as the Red Bull Ring, the second upgrade becomes truly frightening for everyone ahead of them. So when the cars hit the track in Austria, here is exactly what to look for. Watch the speed trap numbers first. That is the clearest measure of whether the engine and fuel package has done its job. If Ferrari has closed even part of its deficit down the long straights of the Red Bull Ring, it shows up there before anywhere else. Watch where Hamilton and Leclerc qualify. On a lap this short, tenths are mountains. The gap to pole tells you everything about whether the package worked. For the first time, the missing piece is in the car. Not promised, not coming soon, in the car. On the most demanding, most honest track of the year. Whether it changes everything or just nudges the picture forward, we find out across one short, relentless lap, repeated 71 times on Sunday. The fastest cornering car in Formula One finally gets to answer the only question it hasn't been able to answer all season. Can it go fast in a straight line too? If the answer is yes, Norris's warning stops being a compliment and starts being a prediction, and the 41 points protecting the top of the championship start to look a lot more fragile than they did a week ago. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on the moment this package hits the track. We'll have the full breakdown. Austria doesn't deal in maybes. By Sunday evening, we'll know exactly what Ferrari brought to the mountains.
The pre-season is over. 2 weeks today, the teams will hit the track in Melbourne for the first time in an official capacity. But where do we stand? 6 days of testing in Bahrain, a 5-day shakedown in Barcelona before that. All the teams seem to agree there are 2 at the top of the pecking order, but no one really seems to know who is the favourites. Mercedes and Ferrari. Those are the 2 teams on everyone's tongues. Some say Mercedes are better in other conditions, but it was Charles Leclerc today dominating the timesheets. Was it a glory run? Are there other factors in play? Who are the real favourites when we go to Australia? This week is the final test ahead of the 2026 season opener, and yet more positivity surrounding Ferrari, yet more upgrades they're bringing to their car this week, in addition to confirmation that they were indeed using the new Shell biofuel in their very successful first Bahrain test just a few days ago. Lots of questions surrounding all the teams as to what fuels they're really running their engines on. We believe in Barcelona, largely a hybrid 2025 version, but now Ferrari's solid performance, and it's only going to get better according to rumours, is being run as we will see things in Melbourne.
We're going to be talking about a key decision that's been made on Ferrari as testing in 2026 comes to a close.
Ferrari just did something in Bahrain that nobody saw coming. 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton. The biggest signing in Formula One history. The most hyped driver transfer of all time. And yet, after 3 days of pre-season testing, his best lap of the entire week was a 1 minute 33.408. His teammate, Charles Leclerc, 1 minute 31.992 seconds. That's almost 1.5 seconds faster. And Leclerc didn't just beat Hamilton. He beat Lando Norris, the reigning world champion. He beat Max Verstappen. He beat George Russell. He beat everyone. Ferrari are back, and the 2026 season hasn't even started yet. Before we get into Leclerc's insane lap, let's set the stage. This was day 3. The final day of the second pre-season test in Bahrain. 2 tests, 3 days each, and this was it. The last look any team gets at their rivals before the season-opening Australian Grand Prix on March 6th to 8th. Ferrari made an interesting call going into Friday. They put Leclerc in the car for the entire day, all day, both sessions. That means 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, the man Ferrari paid a fortune to sign, sat in the garage and watched. Now, was that a statement? Was it strategic? We'll get to that. But here's what matters. Leclerc responded with the drive of pre-season testing. Meanwhile, there were a few notable situations playing out across the paddock. Aston Martin, absolute nightmare. Lance Stroll was supposed to be in the car all day. He completed just 6 laps, 0 timed laps. Because of a battery issue linked to Fernando Alonso's running the day before, Honda had almost no power unit parts left. A total disaster. Mercedes had their own morning drama when rookie Kimi Antonelli stopped on track with a pneumatic issue, losing over 2.5 hours while the team changed the power unit. George Russell had to pick up the slack in the afternoon. And McLaren, their reigning world champion Lando Norris, didn't even emerge for the afternoon session until halfway through. McLaren were doing work on the MCL40 after Oscar Piastri had driven in the morning, so the chaos was real. But through all of it, Ferrari were just quietly cooking. Let's talk about the lap, the one that sent shockwaves through the entire paddock. Charles Leclerc, Ferrari SF26, C4 compound tyres, 1 minute, 31 seconds, and 992 thousandths. That is the fastest lap of the entire Bahrain pre-season test. Nobody, not Norris, not Verstappen, not Russell, got anywhere close. Almost 9/10 of a second over Norris in second. Over a full second over Verstappen and Russell. And Leclerc also completed 132 laps. That's a full race distance and then some. But here's the thing you need to understand about testing. Lap times don't always tell the full story. Teams sandbag, they run heavy fuel loads, they manage tyres. So is this time for real? Well, Ferrari have been consistently quick across both tests, not just on single laps. Leclerc also ran a full race simulation at the hottest point of the day on Friday. Hot track, hot tyres, heavy fuel. And he was still right up there. That is not sandbagging, that is genuine pace. Now let's address the elephant in the room, or rather the 7-time champion sitting in the garage, Lewis Hamilton, the man who left Mercedes after over a decade of dominance to join Ferrari, the most talked about signing in the sport's history. His best lap of the entire week? A 1 minute 33.408. Leclerc's best? 1 minute 31.992. Now before you cancel Hamilton, let's be fair. Ferrari deliberately chose to run Leclerc all day Friday. Hamilton's running was split across different sessions and different programs. Teams manage how they use their drivers very deliberately in testing, but even accounting for all of that, the gap is significant, and it tells us something important. Right now, at this stage of the 2026 season, Charles Leclerc is Ferrari's weapon. He knows this car, he built it, he has been at Ferrari since 2019, and the SF26 feels like his machine. Hamilton is still learning. New team, new car, new power unit, completely new regulations. The story of his 2026 season will be how quickly he can close that gap to his teammate. And if pre-season testing is anything to go by, he has got serious work to do. Okay, here's something that is not getting enough attention, and it might be the story of the early 2026 season. Ferrari have figured out race starts in a way that nobody else has, and it is because of a very clever engineering decision made almost a year ago. Here's the background. Under the new 2026 power unit regulations, the MGUH has been removed. Previously, that component helped keep the turbo spinning at the right speed for a clean getaway. Without it, drivers now have to manually spool the turbo up to speed after reaching their grid slot, and that process can take up to 10 seconds. The further back you start, the less time you have to prepare. This has caused a real safety concern. Stalled cars, uneven launches, unpredictable getaways. F1 has even been trialing a new start procedure during the Bahrain test to try and fix it. But Ferrari went and solved the problem themselves. While other manufacturers built larger turbos, Ferrari deliberately designed a smaller turbo for the SF26. Smaller turbo means it spins up faster. Faster spin up means better launches. Better launches means positions gained right off the line. During the end-of-session practice race starts in Bahrain, Ferrari-powered cars were getting rocket ship launches. In one session, Lewis Hamilton started from the 5th row of the grid and led into the first corner, 5th row, into turn 1. First, Ferrari, Haas, and Cadillac, all Ferrari-powered, are all enjoying this benefit. And here's the kicker. Ferrari warned the FIA about this exact issue last year. The FIA didn't act, so Ferrari engineered it. Classic Scuderia Ferrari. If this advantage carries over to Melbourne, and there is every reason to think it will, we could see Ferrari gaining positions every single race weekend just from the standing start. That is absolutely massive. Let's do a quick rundown of where every team appears to be heading into Australia. Ferrari, the team to beat. Fastest single lap. Strong race simulation. Rocket starts. Leclerc is confident and settled. Hamilton is adapting. The SF26 looks like a genuine title contender. Mercedes. Most of the paddock still sees them as the favourites for Melbourne. Their best long-run pace in testing was arguably ahead of Ferrari. Russell was 3/10 off his own best time from Thursday, probably holding back. Antonelli had a rough day but showed real promise earlier in the week. Do not sleep on the Silver Arrows. McLaren. Norris was only 0.879 off Leclerc despite missing massive chunks of track time. The MCL40 looks fast, but Red Bull might be closing in, and Norris cannot afford to fall behind early in his title defense. Red Bull. Verstappen was third, 1.177 off the pace. He himself admitted Red Bull obviously needs more performance. They were seen running corners in a lower gear than ideal, likely a power unit characteristic. Something to watch closely in Australia. Alpine. Pierre Gasly went 5th fastest. Alpine were last overall in 2025. If that time is even half representative, this is a comeback story in the making. Massive if true. Haas, Behrman 6th, Ocon 12th. Ferrari power unit means great starts. Haas could be a genuine points threat on a regular basis this year.
Do you think that Ferrari and Hamilton can be contenders this year?
It was tough
I have to say, watching Lewis in 2025. You know, we were teammates for 3 years. I understand how good he is. So it was really tough to see him struggle with the team, and you could see it in his face how much it was hurting. You kind of forget everything else he's achieved at that moment in time because you just see the pain. But I think with the new regulation changes, we will see Lewis Hamilton back to his best. I really do, because he's going to have input in how the car is designed and have confidence in him taking in a direction that works for him. So I hope to see that. We want to see Ferrari at the front, and we all want to see Lewis fighting at the front again.
Jenson Button just said to the entire Formula One paddock is not just a warning, it is a declaration.